In a few hours, you're going to watch Apollo trip over his own sandals, face plant on the floor of Olympus, and shatter the lyre he loves more than any mortal. And the worst part? You already knew. You knew before he was born. You knew before Olympus existed. You knew before time had the decency to start passing. But hold on. For now, you're still trying to remember why you bothered opening your eyes today. Today you woke up, but there's a problem. You are the Moirai. Yes, the plural. You are three. Clotho, lachesis, and atropos. 3 consciousnesses, 6 hands. 1 shared existential boredom that would make any Greek philosopher weep. You spin fate. You measure fate. You cut fate. You are the beginning, middle, and end of all existence. You are the universe's walking spoiler. And frankly, you're bored. You open 6 eyes simultaneously and already know exactly how this day will go. Every second, every breath, every thought that will pass through your triple head. You know that in exactly 14 seconds, you're going to sigh with boredom. 13, 12, 11. You try not to sigh just to prove you have free will. 10, 9. You really try. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You sigh. I told you. Your hands are already working automatically. Clotho spins. Lachesis measures. Atropos cuts. It's mechanical. It's eternal. It's like a divine assembly line that never closes for holidays. You don't even need to think. Actually, thinking is a luxury you abandoned a few millennia ago. Why think when you already know all the answers? The golden thread of a king passes through your hands. You already know he'll die choking on an olive at a banquet. Pathetic. The silver thread of a priestess. She'll live to 90 and die in her sleep. Boring. A hero's thread. This one will die young. Epically, and they'll write poems about him for centuries. Predictable. You cut them all with the same indifference of someone stamping documents at the DMV. Outside, the sun hasn't even risen properly yet. Helios is late again. You know he's late because he spent all night trying to impress a nymph who, spoiler alert, will reject him in exactly 3 hours. You know everything. You know too much. You know so much that knowledge has completely lost its flavor. You know that feeling of watching a movie you've seen 500 times? Multiply that by infinity and add the inability to sleep, die, or at least develop amnesia. That's your daily life. You decide you need to get out, not because anything interesting will happen. You know nothing interesting will happen, but staring at infinite threads is starting to make your 6 pupils ache. So you stand up, adjust your robes that smell like eternity and cosmic dust, and walk toward Olympus. Olympus is exactly as you expected, because you always expect everything. White marble columns that shine with their own light, clouds that serve as floors and honestly are a hazard for any god who drinks too much at dinner. The air smells like ambrosia, divine arrogance, and a light touch of fear. And speaking of fear, you barely take 3 steps and Hermes appears, materializing out of nowhere with those annoying winged sandals and that smile trying so hard to look natural. Moirai, what a surprise, what an honor, how great to see you here. You look at him with 6 eyes. Simultaneously, Hermes swallows hard. His smile trembles at the corners. I was just thinking about you. You're looking great. That whole 3 ladies who control existence vibe is very on trend. You don't respond, not because you're angry, but because you already know exactly what he's going to say next. And it's so predictable, it's not even worth the effort to participate. So, do you need anything? Deliver messages? I can deliver messages. Anywhere. Tartarus, Elysium, that obscure corner of Hades. Nobody likes to visit. Just ask. You finally open your mouth. All 3 mouths, actually. Speaking in perfect unison. We know. Hermes laughs nervously. Of course you know. You know everything. It's your charm. Your competitive advantage. He's sweating. Gods shouldn't sweat, but Hermes is sweating. You keep walking. Hermes practically trots beside you, like an anxious dog trying to please its owner. If you need anything at all, he chokes a little. Just don't curse me, please. I have a lot of deliveries to make. Olympus depends on me. You stop. Turn your 3 heads slowly and say, with a voice that echoes through dimensions Hermes doesn't even know exist, nothing you do will change your fate. Not kindness, not flattery, not fear. Hermes goes pale, paler than the marble columns, paler than the clouds, paler than Zeus's toga on party day. So I'm doomed? Everyone is doomed. You're not special. And you keep walking, leaving Hermes standing there, having a silent existential crisis. If I were you, I would have at least given him a pat on the back. But you're not me. And you already knew. You weren't going to do that. Olympus is busy today. Gods strolling, nymphs gossiping, satyrs playing music that, honestly, was better 3 centuries ago. You pass by all of them and feel the stares. Some admiring, most terrified. some desperately trying to look too busy to notice your presence. Dionysus is drinking. What a surprise! You know he'll fall into a bush in 40 minutes and wake up hugging a statue thinking it's a nymph. Demeter is complaining about Hades. Again, you know this specific argument will last another 3 hours and won't resolve absolutely anything. Ares is polishing a sword and flexing his muscles for nobody in particular. Everything exactly as you knew it would be. Everything exactly as it always is. And then Apollo appears. Ah, Apollo, the god of the sun, music, poetry, prophecy, arrogance, and absolutely not understanding when someone isn't interested. He comes walking toward you with that irritating golden glow he insists on maintaining around his entire body. He looks like a walking candle with an ego. Moirai, my ladies of fate, what a joy! You already know what's coming. You always know. And yet, a tiny part of you is still impressed by the audacity. I was thinking, Apollo makes a dramatic pause. He loves dramatic pauses. Wouldn't you like to hear my new composition? It's about you, actually. An ode to the Moirai, to the weavers of destiny, to the ladies who… No, Apollo blinks. His golden glow flickers for a second. No, you don't want to hear it? We already heard it, but I haven't even played it yet. We already heard it, you repeat. 3,000 years ago, when you were still deciding whether you were going to compose this song or not, we heard all the versions, all the revisions, all the notes you changed at 3 in the morning because you couldn't sleep. The final version is adequate. Apollo looks genuinely offended. Adequate? Do you want me to lie? Well, a little enthusiasm wouldn't hurt. We are fate. We are not your audience. Apollo mutters something about non-constructive criticism and walks away, still glowing but with less intensity. I almost felt sorry. Almost. You continue your aimless walk because, let's be honest, all purpose is pointless when you already know the outcome. You pass by the hanging gardens where the flowers never wilt and the boredom never decreases. You pass by the banquet hall where ambrosia is served eternally and the menu never changes. You pass by the nectar fountain where nymphs pretend to be too busy to make eye contact with you, and then you stop. Because as much as you know everything, sometimes it's interesting to watch stupidity happen in real time. Hephaestus is there, the blacksmith god, with his thick hands and concentrated face, working on some new contraption. And beside him, clearly trying to impress, is Ares. Now I need to pause here to explain something. Everyone on Olympus fears you, but Ares has a special fear, a fear bordering on paranoia. Because Ares knows, deep down in that head full of war strategies and divine steroids, that fate doesn't favor the violent, and he's seen you cut too many threads to not have occasional nightmares. So when Ares sees you approaching, he does something you already knew he would do. He tries to impress. Hephaestus, my brother, let me help you with that. Hephaestus looks at him with the expression of someone who didn't ask for help and definitely doesn't want help. I'm fine, Ares. No, I insist. You work too hard. Let me… Ares grabs a piece of metal that was on the workbench. A piece that, shouldn't be touched by unqualified hands. If you enjoyed watching the god of war about to humiliate himself, this is exactly the kind of chaos we cover here. So if this divine entertainment is worth anything to you, leave that like as an offering. The Moirai thank you, I thank you, and Ares definitely won't thank you for what comes next. The piece explodes. It's not a big explosion. It's a small, contained, almost polite explosion, but it's enough to cover Ares' face with a layer of black soot and make his hair stand up in a way that's not even remotely heroic. Hephaestus sighs. I warned you. But Ares isn't paying attention to Hephaestus. Ares is looking at you, at the Moirai, at the 3 figures who watched it all happen with the same expression of someone watching an ant carry a crumb. And in Ares' eyes, you see something you know well, the irrational fear of someone who thinks they've been cursed. You… Ares points at you with a trembling finger, soot still falling from his hair. You did this. You don't respond. You don't need to respond. You knew this was going to happen. You saw it, and you didn't warn me. Clotho, lachesis, and atropos tilt their heads simultaneously like a 3-headed snake, considering whether it's worth spending venom on such a pathetic prey. We see everything, you say. We don't interfere, but you could have. Interfering is the work of lesser gods. We only observe, measure, cut. Ares swallows hard. The soot on his face makes it look like he's wearing badly applied war paint. So, this wasn't… You touched something you shouldn't have touched. The consequences are yours. They always were yours. We just knew you were going to do it. The epiphany hits Ares like a punch, or rather, like a small, polite explosion to the face. He was the architect of his own humiliation. You didn't do anything. You never do anything. And somehow, that's much worse than if you had cursed him directly. You keep walking. Olympus keeps spinning. The gods keep fearing. And you keep knowing. The sun begins to set. Helios finally did his job after taking that rejection from the nymph you already knew he'd get. Shadows stretch across the marble columns. Olympus becomes quieter, more contemplative, more bearable. You return to your domain, to the threads, to eternity, to the boredom that never ends because you know exactly when it will end, which is never. Your hands return to work. Clotho spins. Lachesis measures. Atropos cuts. The cycle continues. It always has. It always will. And while you work, you think. Or rather, you process. Because thinking implies uncertainty, and you have no uncertainty. You process the day you had, the walk through Olympus, the flattering gods, Ares and his self-inflicted explosion, Apollo and his adequate ode. Nothing changed. Nothing ever changes. And you already knew that. The stars appear in the sky. Each one is a destiny you wove. Each one is a story you know from beginning to end. You look at them and feel nothing. Because you can't feel surprise when there is no surprise. You can't feel joy when you already know exactly what will cause joy. You can't feel sadness when sadness is just another thread you cut. You close 6 eyes, and I conclude by observing that of all the fates you've woven, perhaps the most ironic is your own. Condemned to know everything, condemned to feel nothing, condemned to exist eternally in a present that's indistinguishable from the past and future. Tomorrow will be exactly the same, and you already know that. Good night, Moirai. If night even means anything to those who've already seen every night that ever existed and every night that will ever exist. And tomorrow, it all starts again, exactly the same way. Exactly as you know it will be. But hey, at least you have each other, right? You already knew I was going to say that too.